Good. Should I proceed? Katabaz. Should I proceed? I'm not hearing.
Yeah, must we continue?
We continue. All right. Now let's go to part B very fast. So our task here is to compute the weighted average contribution margin ratio. Contribution margin. Before that, we should take note of this. In our question, we were told to, let me see, I'm trying to get a question. Yes. So we're given the selling price. We're given the sales mix ratios. So before that, we should take note of this, that at this time, the ratio was used to individual sales to total sales amount. What do I mean? That I'll first compute for product A, I'll get a selling price, which is 100, then times its sales mix. Remember now I'm computing, I want to get the total sales in this case. I have to first compute for the total sales. So for me to compute the total sales of each product, I'll have to get the selling price. Say if it's for A, what I should be writing, I think. Let me I'll first get the total sales for, I'll get the total sales of all the products, A and B. A and B. So the selling price for A, for product A, is given to you as 100. Then for B, it's 120. Then for C, it's 50. Call that A, total sales, call it A. Thank you. And then down there, we've been given the sales mix for each product. Call that B. Not the proportion, not the proportion, not the proportion. The sales mix. Katabaz. Yes, sales mix ratio. Call that B. Call it B. Now change the total sales. I see where you wrote the total sales of you put total sales instead of selling price. Selling price, yeah. So I get the total sales. I get the sales, the total sales, which will be A times B. So for me to get the total sales for product A, it's 100 times the sales mix ratio of 1. I do the same for B. Then I'll do the same for C, for product C. And then I get the total. The total is 590. So my weighted average contribution ratio will be the summation of the contribution margin ratio, times the sales revenue ratio. The sales revenue ratio. The sales revenue ratio. So for product A, it will be, have we been given the contribution margin ratio for product A? I think you have it. It was given to us. So it was given to us as it's 40%, right? It's 40%. So it will be 40%. Are you guys following? Guys, are you following?
Yep, we are.
Yes.
Thank you. It will be 40%. The contribution margin ratio for product A was 40%. Then for product B, then for C, yes. So how do we compute for the, let's get the sales revenue ratios for each product now. Let's get the sales revenue ratios. Remember, it's not sales mix ratio, it's sales revenue ratio. Now remember, we got a total of 590. So for it to get a sales revenue ratio for product A, it will be the 100 divided by the 590. 100 divided by the 590. Remember, it's different from the sales mix ratio. We are getting the sales revenue ratio. You do the same for product B. You get 240 divided by 590. Divided by 590. So having done that, we now get our weighted average contribution margin ratio per product by multiplying the contribution margin ratio and the sales revenue ratio. Contribution margin. Yes. So we get it by multiplying the 40% times the sales revenue ratios. That's the sales revenue ratio for A, for product A. You do the same for product B. Right. Now get me the total. The total weighted average contribution margin.
Information. Who do I know?
25.42. So that means you can be able to compute the amount product in dollars, since we are dealing in dollars. So in other words, you get the total fixed costs, the 120, you divide it by the weighted average contribution margin ratio, the total that we've got in the 25.42%. I think you've all understood that, right? Guys, are we communicating? Pardon? Have we understood?
No, sir. Please find out on the weighted average contribution ratio.
The weighted
Can you
average
scroll
contribution
back up?
Okay, let me repeat that. In our question, we were given the contribution margin ratio. So for us to compute, the weighted average contribution margin ratio, we should we get the sales revenue. After getting the sales revenue for each product, we then get a sales revenue ratio. Are you getting the point? So for product A, we got the selling price, which is 100. We multiplied it by the sales mix of product A, which is 1. And we got the sales amount for product A as 100. Then for product B, we got the 120, which is the selling price. We multiplied it with the sales mix, which is 2 for product B, and we got 240. We did the same for product C. We got the 50 times the 5, which we got to 250. So we had to add the 100 plus the 240 plus the 250, and we got the 590, which is the total sales for all the products A, B, and C. So having done that, we had to get a sales revenue ratio. The sales revenue ratio, since we got the price. We got the price of the selling price of A, which was 100, and then we divided it by the total sales of 590 for us to get a sales. Remember here we are computing for the sales revenue ratio. You get? So you got the 100, we divided by the 500. Katabazi?
Yes, Amos.
Are we following, bro?
Personally, I'm following.
You're following. Then how about the others? Are they following?
Yes, dear, we are following.
So when you computed you computed a break-even point in dollars, what did you get? Yeah. So that is in dollars. That's our answer. So that's the multi-product break-even point in dollars. Remember, we are dealing with dollars. That's why I'm talking of dollars. If there were shillings, then it would be the break-even point in shillings. Any question? Any question? Guys, any question? Katawaz?
Yes, there is a question.
Yes, you can ask.
I've not got what you meant by sales revenue ratio and sales mix ratio.
The sales revenue ratio.
Then plus the contribution margin ratio. I'm not getting that.
You're not getting that. Okay. Katawaz, have you understood that? Maybe you can help me and draw more light on that, if you've understood.
Okay. We are saying that for you to do break-even revenue, what you call break-even point in dollars in this case, you're supposed to have total fixed costs over weighted average contribution per sales ratio. And we're saying for you to get the weighted average contribution per sales ratio, the formula is such that you're going to add the contribution margin ratios, having multiplied it by the sales revenue ratio. That you get the contribution margin ratio for each product and multiply it by its specific sales revenue ratio. So for you to come up with this, you need first of all to obtain the contribution margin ratio and also obtain the sales revenue ratio for each. So our task was for margin contribution, for contribution margin ratio, it was given in the question, and it was given as 40% for A, and B it was 25%, and for C it was 20%. So the task was now to obtain the sales revenue ratio. Now, for you to obtain the sales revenue ratio, you need to have total sales, and then how we obtain the ratios is that you get the sales of a particular product, say A, and divide by the total sales. Okay, so how do we do that? The first task is to obtain the sales for each. Okay, we say that you have the selling price that was given, and you're also given the sales mix ratio. These two, when multiplied together, they will give you the total sales. Guys, kindly mute. I was muting you when I was busy. So for now, kindly mute. So I was still saying that for sales, how we get it is you multiply it by, it's a selling price times the sales mix ratio. Let me first respond to this. Olivia, kindly mute. So I was still saying, so our task was really to obtain the sales revenue ratio. And we're saying for you to get that, first obtain the sales for each. And the sales for A, it is given by the selling price times the sales mix ratio. That's how we get the 100 for A. For B, it is 240. For C, it is 250. Having gotten the sales for each, we now add them together to get the total sales or total revenue. Okay, and to give us 590. And then now we are close to the answer because we're supposed to obtain now the sales ratio or the sales revenue ratio, which is given by the sales for a particular product divided by the total sales for all the products. Hence 100 divided by 590. You can even put in percentages by multiplying it by 100%. Okay, it's really upon you. But for us, we left it in decimal points. So that's how we end up with the sales ratio as they are here, or the sales revenue ratios. All right. So back to our formula, which is weighted average contribution ratio, which is given by you having multiplied the contribution margin ratio with the sales revenue ratio. You add for all the products. That's how we end up with the weighted average. So we have the sales revenue ratio, we have the margin ratio. Okay. So you multiply the two, as the formula says. When you multiply, you have 6.78 for A, you have 10.17% for B, and this for C. And then you add them as the formula says. After getting for each, then you add. Okay, so that's how we obtain our sales, our weighted average contribution ratio. I hope I've made it clear. Then, of course, when you have the ratio, the weighted average contribution ratio, you just apply it in the formula. You have total fixed costs already. So you have gotten the new figure, which is the weighted average as 25. And here is your answer, 772,000. I hope I've tried to clarify some few things. Okay, back to you, Amos.
Okay. Now let's do the next question. We shall get back to more products when we are doing other numbers. So let's first do the second one.
Maybe this one of each, you didn't can still talk about it. The revenue for each product.
Break even for?
Revenue for each product.
Break even for each product.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me. So about the
Yes,
weighted
Sapna.
contribution, weighted contribution, weighted average contribution. I'm having a different formula. I just need clarification. I'm having one which says sales mix ratio times contribution per unit, and here I've used a different one, so I've failed to pick up with it.
Contribution per?
Weighted contribution for all products, which says you multiply sales mix ratio times contribution per unit. Then you get the summation of all the products.
Is it
Is
contribution
this the
per
same with
unit?
the one
Or
you've used?
is it contribution per unit or it's contribution per sales ratio? The one you have there. It's supposed to be contribution.
Contribution per unit.
And that one is different. That one is for weighted contribution per unit. Yeah, not contribution ratio.
Contribution ratio. Okay.
All right. Katabas, you're asking me a question. Yeah?
The question is, you have not finished the answer. The breakdown for each product.
The answer. The break-even point for each product.
Yeah.
Okay. So for product A, it will be you get the $472,000. You're done?
Yeah.
Times 100 divided by 590. Yes. Then for product B, it will be the $472,000 times 240 divided by 590. Thank you. You do the same for C. It's $472,000 times the 250 divided by 590. So
Okay,
that's the break-even point in dollars for each product.
To summarize what you've just said, remember to obtain the sales revenue ratio. Okay, so
The sales
alternatively,
revenue.
yeah,
Mm.
alternatively, you get the revenue that you have had for all, and you multiply it by each sales revenue ratio for each product. Okay, you have the same answer.
Yeah. Have you all understood the number? Have we understood? Guys, okay, Katabaz,
Yes.
let's go to another question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I was suggesting I can do the next one just for change of what or fail and see if and then you come in the next number.
To take you back. I wanted to know how you got my network jumped to.
Where exactly?
The for each product, the last part that were on in dollars for each product.
The break-even point in dollars for each product.
Yes.
Now that we computed the break-even point, the multi-product break-even point, which was the 472,000. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Yes. So we had to get a sales revenue ratio. We multiply it to that to the multi-product break-even point. So we get a sales revenue ratio for each product times the $472,000. Has it made sense?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's like we are apportioning, we are breaking that 472 so that we want to see how much does each product contribute. Are you getting it?
Yes.
Yes. So for the 472,000, A contributes 80,000. Then B contributes 192,000. Then C contributes 200,000. Have you understood it?
Yes, I have. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. What about you?
Yes, Amos.
I was suggesting it. Let me do the Alan thing, the Alan number, and then you come in because I wanted to do something here.
Okay.
Just yes. So let me just take you through the second question. So kindly share with us the questions on screen. praise.